Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. We have even more Street Fighter news for you, as today was the TGS 2022 Street Fighter 6 special program. And we got some new gameplay snippets here, sure, right? But let's start with the really big news, as we now have an official launch roster for the game. So what you're viewing here is the opening video of the World Tour mode, the big single player mode for Street Fighter 6. And it showcases characters you know, right? Hey, here's Luke, there's Kimberly, and wait a second. Who is this? This is Marissa! So now we can finally just say it outright. We don't have to dance around the leaks or anything. This is Marissa, the giant lady of Street Fighter 6. You see her here in this really sick looking official art. And she looks totally badass, and yeah, so she's in the game, and guess what? This is going to be a trend going through the rest of the video, as all these leaked characters, now they're just finally showing them outright. Move forward, and who's next? Well, it's JP. We don't know too much about him other than the fact that he's a Psycho Power user, but hey, here he is. Hey, here's Mimi, although she's now known as Manon, so that is the new correct name, Manon. So we thought before, she's the Abel replacement. Looks a little bit different here. So she's the first character we know from the leaks that has an alternate outfit, I guess. We'll see the quote-unquote normal look here in a moment. And as the trailer goes, of course, classic characters that we know of, like, hey, Blanca. We have a little Blanca doll here. Hey, yay, and he's laughing. That's fun. So next up here, we see Jamie coming up. So once again, of course, we do know some of the base roster. There's Jamie. But then again, once again, for the leaked characters, Strong. Well, who could that be? Strong. Oh, it's our pal Zangief. So yes, in case you didn't know, Zangief will be in Street Fighter 6. And naturally, our boy DJ as well will be rocking in the game. And what about someone who sparks a little bit of interest? Lily. So Lily is in the game, and yes, you better believe that is the Condor Dive. The move made famous by T.hawk himself. The move so famous, you can find it in Pog form, right? So I made a video previously speculating about Lily and her relationship to t.hawk and if she might inherit those exact moves, Condor Dive and Condor Spire, and turns out, yeah, she totally does. Now, will she be a grappler? That's a question to be revealed whenever she gets a trailer, I guess, but she definitely inherits part of T.hawk's moveset. A lot of shots in these trailers are blink and you miss it, like this appearance of Cammy, who is in her new punk rock uniform. Basically, a lot of stuff is going here. It's just going over the entire roster. As you can see, a lot of shots of characters that were recently announced as well. So this is the intro to World Tour. And one thing, it goes back to another character here, goes back to JP, makes him look like G, which kind of solidifies my theory that JP might be the end boss of the game, if anyone were to be. And now you can see the roster as a whole. We can get a better look at some of these newer characters. Here's DJ. Here is JP and Marissa, her helmet is her hair, I guess, turns out. Zangief looking like the big guy, as always. Manon and Cammy, and Manon is using her judo-ish outfit from the leak. So the other outfit, being like the French supermodel or whatever it is, that might be an alternate costume. Lily has a slightly different look from the leak. She has like a buttoned-up shirt now. So this is your Street Fighter 6 launch roster, 18 characters in total. Wait a second, 18? I thought it was 22. Yeah, the leak roster is 22 characters, so we're missing 4 people. No Akuma, no Ed, no Aki, and no Rashid. So I don't know how to tell you guys this, but basically, that's probably your Season 1 DLC roster. I made a video a long time ago before the leak, so I'm like, there's no way Akuma's not DLC. Then we had the leak. I'm like, oh, wow, I guess I'm wrong. And turns out, no, he's definitely going to be DLC. There's simply too much money to be made there. Let's get real. So 4 people from the original leak, I guess, will join us eventually. But these 18 characters are your starting lineup for Street Fighter 6. So that's the roster stuff. Now let's talk other things we learned about today. So training mode. 1, the grid is back. I knew it was going to come back, but man, I don't like the grid. But anyways, that's me, I guess. There's quite a few interesting options in training mode for beginners that are just pre-baked. You don't have to record them yourself. Like the opponent will do a random jump and then drive impact after the fact, or maybe not, right? The idea is to teach you how to react. Other things here, like the frame data, of course, This has frame data built in. This is Street Fighter, it's not some other game, but it's a very visually laden frame data, as you can see. For those that aren't too versed in the whole matter here, the game will go into quite a bit of depth teaching you about what frame data exactly is, and also this colored bar shows you all the different kinds of frame data and how it all works together. The game will delineate between overall frames, startup frames, recovery frames. These are very important things. Also, going with the color grading they have here gives you a lot of info about the move besides just, is this plus or negative, right? Like, hey, is the move invincible here? Or is it just strike invincible? Or is it just projectile invincible? These are the things you can learn. And frankly, this is just fantastic. Like, it always helps people to learn how the nuts and bolts of a game work, and that's frame data in a nutshell, right? Like for the Shoryu here, the white frames, those are invincible, the red are the active frames, and the blue are recovery frames. To know details like that before, you would have to go onto like a wiki or something. The game might tell you what's plus or minus, but that's about it, right? So knowing startup, active frames, recovery frames, and a lot of the particulars of each move, like standards of invincibility and all that kind of stuff, that's all great. That will help people a lot more than just plus or minus, which already helps a lot, don't get me wrong, right? But that will teach people a lot about how the moves work themselves rather than just the end result of the frames. Absolutely fantastic tool. And you didn't have to pay for it extra, right? Bandai Namco. So we got the roster, we got cool frame data and training mode. These are great things, but let's talk about World Tour, the campaign mode, because we got a really good look at character creation here. So this is the very beginning of World Tour. You meet Luke. Luke is basically your trainer. And before you can do anything, and we got some nuance about how that all works, you got to create a character, right? And turns out, creating a character, you got some options. So we got a small amount of hints from the trailer the other day, but here's the actual character creation mode in full. And you got some options. So the in-depth options you have here are pretty good. Like these are presets here. And the thing is, some of the morphing of the body, like look at this here. See how tall and lanky that is? Normally games don't let you do that unless it's like Saints Row or a wrestling game, right? So the amount of morphing the character you can do on top of like the other options of clothing and all that kind of stuff, like you can make a big boy, right? That's above and beyond the Call of Duty of a Street Fighter game, right? So World Tour will definitely let you make any kind of character you want, be it someone normal or maybe someone a little bit freaky. Like you can make yourself as wrinkled as a prune. That's one of the options available, right? There's sliders for seemingly just about everything. From facial deformation to body deformation, obviously all sorts of hairstyles, beards, all that kind of stuff. As someone who's played a lot of wrestling games in his life, I'm really big into making characters in a game. I really put a lot of time into that kind of stuff. And with all these sliders, I think you can make just about anything you want to make, really. And that's fantastic. I actually really look forward to this. So at the end, you make your character, you name your character, all that kind of stuff. You got a picture, you got your own card. And you hand your card in to Luke. And when you talk to Luke at the beginning of World Tour mode, it's effectively a glorified training mode, to be honest. Like there's details here, how to walk, how to jump, how to press a button, like the baby basics. But then again, you know, a lot of people, this is going to be their first Street Fighter ever, maybe first fighting game ever. So the baby basics is something that needs to be taught, and this is exactly the place for it. And before you think this is all just one glorified training mode, once you get that out of the way, you get attacked! All Kung Fu air kick style here. So turns out you're going to have a rival. This is Bosch. And Bosch doesn't take kindly to you, right? And you're going to have to Kung Fu battle to assert dominance against each other. And who knows if this is going to be like a whole campaign long deal. Are you going to be dealing with Bosch every turn? Maybe. That's usually how rival characters work. But there's definitely a lot of story beats here, on top of it just being a basic tutorial at the very beginning. And of course, naturally, as it all winds up, you're going to go into the world, you're going to tour the world, do all the fun stuff that we learned about yesterday. So this is just another really good layer on it. I like the fact that you're given a rival character. Everything about World Tour mode just looks really good and really cool. I feel like they didn't really have to go as far as they're going, but they did. And all I can say is everyone's going to benefit from it. And besides all that, we do have a couple more gameplay hints here. a little bit more footage. One of the things that's actually pronounced, I did not notice the last time around, is Blanka and the little Blanka dolls. They're incredibly strong, and turns out there's a little bit of a gate on them. You can see here a little Blanka doll counter at 5, so he has 5 uses of it. It's basically a limited ammo resource. So when Blanka places a doll out, right now, as you can see here, the counter says 5, and then he places a doll, and now it's 4. And also, so we do know that the doll is sent out by various forms of electricity, right? And it turns out what form of electricity you use gauges how the doll moves. So higher strengths give completely different outcomes, basically. And if you use a super, it sends it flying with a big multi-hit kind of a projectile attack, basically. So there's a lot of nuance to the move. And for Blanka, as many people have linked me here, when he's in his burnout state, he kind of does a silly little gorilla walk. He definitely is much more gorilla-ish in this incarnation, and I'm a big fan of that, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, so that's just really cute and cool. So going from cute and cool, let's go to evil and demonic, so Dalsum. So Dalsum is Fireball, as we went over before in the other day here. Yes, it goes straight forward like back in the day. But what we've now learned is this. So he can toss a regular version, or he can hold it for a 2-hitting version. And that means basically he can do EX moves for free. He just has to hold the button. It takes a little bit longer startup, sure, but it's an option available for him on the table. And it turns out the angled Fireball is not an EX only move. You can just also do that as well. So he has both angles covered. This with the long limbs means Dalsum's an absolute monster. And also, Air Fireball is a regular move. At least it doesn't go full screen, thank God. But his Fireball game is absolutely insane. Regular Fireball, angled Fireball. You can hold the Fireball for multiple hits. Air Fireball with the float and the big limbs and normals and all that kind of stuff. Dalsum's my early pick for top tier for sure. The held version also knocks down on hit, which means he gets like free teleport pressure on you if you want. So it's just nuts. Thank God Dalsum's somewhat a technical character, so we won't be absolutely flooded with Dalsum players online. But man, he is so terrifying in this game. To add some positivity to weigh out the evil, Honda, his buff that we know about here, looks like you can double stack it. He does the move, he raises one hand, but if you do it again immediately, he raises both hands. So to me that says maybe you can double stack the buff. Also with the little jig he's doing there, makes me think the move is like down, down punch or down, down kick. So will double stacking just mean it's more powerful, or does it mean you get 2 separate uses of it? I guess that's the question we'll have to wait and see because the footage is not quite shown. But here, the new move as well for Honda. So we knew that it launched, but it turns out there's multiple follow-ups as he also has this triple hitter. This is a move I'm really interested in seeing what all the capabilities are, because it turns out it's a lot more than just a basic launcher. So what can you do with it? Like, what are all the options, right? Mystery for another time, I suppose. But my friends, that's all the Street Fighter 6 news for today. So this is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.